Despite growing calls for Miss South Africa to boycott the 2021 Miss Universe pageant in solidarity with Palestine, the organization said that the reigning title holder would compete in the competition in Israel on the 13th of December. Amid the widespread backlash, the Miss South Africa organization said that the 24-year-old Lalela Mswane would not be bullied as an adult against fulfilling her ambition. Now, someone who is of opinion that Miss South Africa should make her own mind up about the conflict in the Middle East is Reeva Forman, who is a member of the South African Jewish Board of Deputies, and she joins us now in studio to unpack this. Very good morning to you. Thank you so much for your time. Lalela essentially says, or not Miss South Africa, the organization says that she shouldn't be bullied. She was bullied as a child to make up her own mind. It seems that Lalela wants to go, but it seems like we're also making her fight our battles.
First of all, thank you so much for asking me here today. It's really an honor to be with News Africa and talking to your audience. Yes, of course I do believe she should go. I think it's very sad, you know, whenever there's any conflict anywhere in the world, there are two types of people. Those who wish to exacerbate it and take advantage of it, perhaps for their own agendas, and those who wish to strive to make peace. And I believe that Lalela represents South Africa, a country unique in the entire world, where a man walked the stage and our freedom fighters, epitomized by Mandela, our Constitution. And he said very clearly, instead of vengeance and hate, I'm going to choose reconciliation and nation building. So to me, the opportunity that Lalela has to represent a country unique amongst nations, to get that message across of peace, of love, of looking for what we have in common. It's an incredible opportunity, not only for Lalela, but for our country.
I mean, our country is steeped with divisional history, apartheid, yes. And that's what is said to be happening now in Israel, in the conflict between Israel and Palestine. We know that women have been the main protagonists of peace in the world, but are we not putting too much on Lalela's shoulders if we expect her to go there and essentially call for peace?
I don't think so. I don't think... as I said, you strike a woman, you strike a rock. No, I don't think so. I think that by her very background, the struggle she's had in this country to come up from nothing, probably poverty, and how she struggled, you know, that is in the very soul of our South African people. And I like to include myself in that. I go back to the 80s and working with this country. And in the 80s, the late Marina Maponya was Businesswoman of the Year in 1982. I was Businesswoman of the Year in 1983. Great honor. But for me, the greatest honor of all is that when South Africa was invited by a women's organization in Boston to send a representative, this was all in the business sphere, Marina and I proudly went together. Now, that was during apartheid. We went, the fact that we were there together sent a message. Yes, the politics at the moment were horrific, we all knew that. But we showed the spirit of the South African people. And I believe that is the spirit of the Palestinian-Israeli people as well.
But when we sent a message in South Africa, we were in the country. We had to stand on the other side of the fence. Internationally, the messages were sent largely by boycotts. The Palestinian people are an oppressed group. We can't, they do have a leg to stand on in this case. Should we not maybe stand with them, or should it not be through boycotting instead of going to the event? Because it seems like going to it, you're supporting it, you're making it come to life.
You know, first of all, you don't have to be anti-Israel to be pro-Palestinian. We are living in an era of the greatest division we have ever seen. You only have to look at our own country and what we've been through with a division politically, and Mandela's dream of unity and diversity damaged, thank God not totally destroyed, by the last government dispensation. So I believe in this era today, especially in terms of boycotts. Boycotts have been presented by the BDS and Free Palestine for years. They have had no effect on the economy of Israel. They have had absolutely no effect on the conflict. Surely it is time to follow the world's footsteps, especially in COVID-19, where we're threatened by death all around us. We're threatened by division over every subject. Surely it is time to see what we have in common, for Lalela to go and proudly to say, I stand for peace. I am pro-Palestinian. I am pro-Israeli. I am pro-humanity.
Yeah. How do you think that will be received, though, by the organization? I mean, look, I'm not privy as to what exactly the discussions were in terms of Miss Universe deciding to stage it in Israel.
Yeah.
But, I don't know if it's in protest that they're staging it there. It doesn't strike me as if that would be the case. So for us to send almost a Trojan horse and expect her to fight from the inside might be so.
First of all, she's not a Trojan horse. Number two, you must realize that 70 countries in the world, amongst them Arab countries, are contesting in Israel. Maybe these people are not within this century. We've just had the Abrahamic Accords, where Arab countries who have been politically completely divorced from Israel for years are now looking for a way of peace, of looking to build mutual economies, of looking to create jobs, of looking to change the divisions and the divides and the hatred. The three great religions of Abraham, that is Judaism, Christianity and Islam, they are talking together all the time on different platforms to bring peace. So how could you see Lalela anything but the epitome of a country way in advance of its time, when our Freedom Charter, our Constitution and Mandela, instead of a civil war, shows reconciliation and above all dialogue. I'm sorry.
I mean, you referred to a few of the Miss South Africas of the past and how they became Miss Universe. We know that in the apartheid era there was a black and white Miss South Africa sent to go and participate in Miss Universe, and we had a black Miss Universe in those days. But that still didn't do much for apartheid in South Africa. And I'm not taking away the importance of the entire event, but it doesn't. Going there still almost, at least to my understanding, feels like more of fence sitting. I mean, we've seen what it looks like in Gaza, and for Miss South Africa to stand behind it, knowing that South Africa in general is pro-Palestine, kind of feels like we're going in the opposite direction here.
Well, first of all, Gaza is only part of the Palestinian story. We must never forget the West Bank. We must never forget, I've been there many, many times, and I've spent more than 14 years taking groups, both to Israel and to the Palestinian territories. And I cannot tell you the goodwill of all the people, and especially women, who are saying we want peace. Now, boycotting, refusing to dialogue, not entertaining the other in dialogue.
But the dialogue is generally one-sided, though.
Really? Well, maybe. I'm not going to comment on that. I can only comment on the many, many organizations that I work with even today, like Women Wage Peace. They came to our country through the Jewish Board of Deputies, I think it was just a year or two ago. And that was from the Palestinian territories and from Israel. It was Jews, Muslims, Christian women saying Let's get together. Let us, civil society, show the politicians the way, exactly as we have done in our country recently.
For the sake of time, I'm so sorry.
No,
for the sake of time, in 2002, Miss Universe was supposed to be held in Abuja, Nigeria. It was boycott. This was for a number of reasons following riots that happened, which have now been termed the Miss Universe riots. Also, Amina Lawa, she was sentenced to death by stoning for what was allegedly adultery and conceiving a child out of wedlock. And as a result of that, Miss Universe, because of those boycotts and all that happened, they moved that pageant to London. What does this say about Miss Universe now that they're going to Israel?
You are comparing Israel with a country which abused women's rights. In Israel, within borders still to be defined, there is complete and utter democracy. In the Knesset today...
In Israel, but in Palestine?
Yes, it's up to the PLO, how they treat their people. And I have been many times to Ramallah, and I see women walking around in modern dress. I see people enjoying life. I don't see a browbeaten people. They are very proud. So we cannot confuse. I haven't been to Gaza. I wasn't allowed in, either by the PLO or by the Knesset. But I would just like to conclude by saying, in Israel, excluding the Palestinian territories, which I agree with you is an issue still to be settled, there is absolute democracy as there is in our country. In the current government, which I thank God is a coalition government, you have every party there, including an Islamic party. And when people come together, as is in the current Israeli government, you have all parties from right to left, where they have to sit together and find a way for the people that they represent and love. There's only one way, and that is to go there, to see for yourself, and to give the message that we as South Africans gave to the world.
You know, the only thing that, the thing that really stood out of what you just said is, in Israel, excluding the Palestine, there's absolute democracy, and that is
in
still
a big problem. The Palestinian territories is under the PLO. I don't know if you're aware that both the PLO and Israel have joint security forces to protect the people in Palestine against possible terror attacks, and they're not from Israel. Yes, there are obviously tragic incidents on both sides, but there is also a cooperation, and the PLO are the ones who controlled totally the West Bank. And when I was there, the people were modern, they were happy, there was freedom in the Palestinian territories, excluding Gaza. I haven't been there. There was freedom. There was freedom to talk to me. We had freedom to talk to them. So I request that our public here understand that Lalela will be representing Ubuntu. Nothing is more beautiful to me than Ubuntu. And that's what she can do for our country there. So, Lalela, please, from one woman to another, woman, change the world. Be part of that change.
Reeva Forman, thank you so much for your time. It's really unfortunate, though, for Lalela. I would think that she, you know, essentially, yes. I understand it's her dream, and now she is marred in this. Yes. But look, unfortunately, and it is the case, and this is how it is. Really wish Miss Universe, perhaps, would just release a statement and maybe just light or clear up the air, just as to say exactly why it is that they've decided to go to Israel. But that is Reeva Forman. She is the member of South African Jewish Board of Deputies. A very important conversation we've had. I know you want to add one last thing very quickly, please.
Miss Universe, Miss Iraq, she has said, go to Israel and see for yourself. Please get her on your program.
Well, there you go. My executive producer is definitely listening to that. We get in that conversation. There's a raging conversation, and of course, I'm pretty sure it will continue for days and weeks to come, at least up until the pageant itself takes place in December.